If you've been with me through the first couple of episodes, you've been honest with yourself around how fatigued, burnt out, or just feeling stuck in a rut you currently are. You've prioritized you by moving you to the top of your priority list. You've hopefully raised your level of personal clarity by examining, what do you value most? What do you value most in relationships? What do you intend in terms of your leadership legacy once you hang it up and retire? And what actions and commitments do you need to start making and taking right now to make that legacy true? If you haven't had a chance to work on these things, I'd strongly recommend pausing this now and going back and checking out those first couple of episodes. Today, it's you-related activities, getting ourselves focused on the things that we need to be engaged with that fulfill us, provide us energy, passion, a sense of direction in terms of our day-to-day actions, both personally and professionally. It's the Leading on Purpose podcast, helping leaders, teams, and organizations lead more intentionally, effectively, and with purpose. Well, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. As I mentioned today, we're digging into you-related activities. There is a direct correlation between you-related activities and fatigue, burnout, stress, being stuck in a rut, all those symptoms I've mentioned a couple times now. The more alignment we can find between our day-to-day activities and behaviors and what we value most, what our why is, what's core to us, the more energy we're going to find, the more passion, the more positivity, the stronger sense of accomplishment we're going to feel. Now, I want you to think about it this way. I want you to imagine a time, maybe in the recent past, or even go further back if you need to, but just a time in your life, personally or professionally, doesn't matter, when you felt you were at a peak in terms of your level of engagement, your level of energy, again, your level of accomplishment. You really knocked something out of the park. It was a peak experience for you, either personally or professionally. Think of that moment right now. Now, I'll bet you that one, if not two things are absolutely true about this moment you just reflected on. One, it's very likely that you were engaged in something that is core to who you are, very connected to your why or your level of personal clarity. Number two, it's very likely that you made major progress and or achieved a very important goal for yourself, personally or professionally. So just think about the level of energy, passion, commitment, accomplishment that came from this single moment. Our goal is to really engage ourselves as much as possible day to day in activities just like that. And the more we can align those day-to-day activities and behaviors with what really fulfills us, the more we're going to experience those things that you're thinking about as you reflect back on this really important moment in your life. The place where we find alignment between our day-to-day activities and what truly fulfills us is also the place where we beat fatigue, we beat burnout, we get ourselves out of the rut. And so again, this direct correlation between engaging ourselves in fulfilling activities and not falling victim to some of those really derailing symptoms that we can experience, again, both personally and professionally. Now, you've heard me through these first few episodes mention the word fulfill quite a bit. I've said fulfillment, fulfilling, fulfill yourself. Let me describe exactly what I mean there, because I think this is an important time to discuss the difference between fulfillment and success, because these are two very different things, and both are things that throughout our life we can find ourselves vacillating between and searching for. So success, let's think about success for a moment. Success, unfortunately, is typically defined externally. It's based on other people's opinions and judgments around societal measures of success, such as, what business title do I have? How big is my business card? How much money do I make? How big is my house? What kind of car do I drive? These are all the very common measures of success that can drive us to do certain things, set certain goals for ourselves, again, both personally and professionally. The point is, it's defined externally. It's defined by others. The difference with fulfillment is it's almost always defined internally. It's those things that we know we need to do that really fill us up, really fill our bucket. Now, big difference here between these two, success and fulfillment. The problem is the lines between the two often get blurred, and we think we're chasing something that's really important to us, and all of a sudden realize we maybe are chasing something that is not really that important. And you'll see this all the time, and we've all experienced it. We're chasing something down. We're chasing down a promotion. We're chasing down a pay raise. We're chasing down a new opportunity. And once we get it, we realize that we're still not really satisfied. What's typically missing in those situations is that we're chasing down success. What's missing is the fulfillment, really understanding why is this so important to me. So it's not just about what we achieve, it's why are we doing it? What's core about it to who we are inside? What's connected with what we're doing in terms of our level of personal clarity? And so this why piece continues to be really important as we continue thinking about what activities do you need to be engaged with. The simple premise here, and you've probably heard this before, what makes you money doesn't always make you happy. That's exactly what I'm talking about here in this subtle distinction between success and fulfillment. Because fulfillment, without it, you're left with a hole that success could never really possibly fill. Success is fleeting. Now, I'm not being critical of success. I just think sometimes we get it backwards. We get so consumed with the next job, the next promotion, the bigger payday, the bigger house, more cars, and we're expecting to be able to fill that hole when what's really missing is fulfillment, our why, connecting ourselves on a day-to-day basis with those things that truly fulfill us. Now, if you focus on fulfillment first and you get it right, my experience has been your chances of success actually go way up. And so it's not that I'm being critical of success. Again, I just think we get it backwards from time to time. We all probably know someone. We've all seen examples of individuals, whether it be a friend, a family member, a celebrity, a professional athlete, who seemingly from the outside looking in has it all. But they're miserable. They're completely unhappy. And if we found that out, we would be completely puzzled and befuddled around how is that possible? With your level of achievement and professional success, how is it possible that this person is unhappy? Well, for me, my observation is they're missing fulfillment. And again, they're pursuing a hole that success could never possibly fill. I have a personal example of this. For a number of years, one of the roles that I had was to turn around struggling locations for the organization I was with. And so they would send me to the worst possible locations, not as punishment, but to ask me to get it turned around. And I had a lot of success stepping into several of those situations and getting things turned around. There was one situation after a run of great success that I stepped into where I was not able to be successful. I was not able to get the situation turned around. And I completely hit the wall in terms of my sense of energy, focus, just stepped right into that rut I've been talking about. Was fatigued, burnout, stressed almost instantaneously when I couldn't find success in this situation. What was missing for me was I had no sense of fulfillment. I had nothing to fall back on. I wasn't getting up in the morning with a strong sense of personal clarity. Definitely was not engaging myself in activities that truly fulfill me. Wasn't looking at my work in a way that truly fulfills me. And so when success wasn't available to me, I immediately went into the hole. And so it's really interesting. Along the way, you may not realize what success is doing to you. It can actually poison your mind and make you think that, boy, this is feeding me. This is what I need. More of this, please. But I'll caution you, have that run of success. And as soon as there's a derailment, something that falls apart, you're in a situation where you're no longer successful, you're going to feel a sense of emptiness. And that's because there's not fulfillment there. You're not engaging yourself in things that truly fulfill you. And so you're left with nothing once that success goes away. Okay, so let's talk about how we get ourselves focused on activities that truly fulfill us. In my experience, there's 4 areas that we need to focus on. You'll see these very same 4 areas called out in the stress management space, as well as called out in the area of mental wellness. And so I didn't just make these up, but I've just come to find these to be really important in terms of my needs and really helpful as I've worked with leaders through one-to-one coaching and facilitated sessions to help people think about their level of fulfillment and where they're getting their energy from. So first area of focus for you to find fulfillment is mental. So what are the things that you're doing and actively engaged in day to day that really challenge you mentally? And this could range because each of these 4 areas, the size of it, the importance of it is person to person. And so it's really up to you as we examine these 4 areas to decide what's most important about it for you. So in terms of mental stimulation, for some folks, that's a crossword puzzle in the morning. For other folks, it's really ensuring that the work that they're engaged with is mentally stimulating, that we're engaged with projects or responsibilities that really stretch us intellectually. And so we've got to find things that fulfill us mentally. Second area to focus on to find fulfilling activities for you, we need to be fulfilled socially. And socially is about being engaged, obviously, with relationships, personally and professionally, that stimulate us, that we draw energy from, that we're invested in. This is where our emotional needs are also met. And so things like empathy and sympathy and compassion that are so important to the human experience, both on the delivery end and the receiving end, we find those things socially. And it's one of the things that was really missing for people over the course of the pandemic is they weren't able to keep themselves connected as well socially, whether it be because they were working remote in their job or because they couldn't see family and friends because of the pandemic. And so it's something that was really underserved here the last couple of years. And as things have begun to open up, I think people have really realized how important this piece is, because the emotional aspects of it, those emotional connections, you talk to some scholars, they'll say emotional connection is why we're here. And so this social aspect for us, extremely important. And again, it's up to you to determine how much of that do you really need. All right, so third piece is physical. And definitely an area that looks different for each person, but it's doing things that fulfill us physically, things that allow us to expend energy, things that allow us maybe to turn off our minds and just focus on the physical tasks that we're engaged with. And it looks different for nearly every person. For some people, it's committing themselves to a workout routine, and it's setting goals along those lines. For other people, it's simply going on a walk before they transition from home to work and work to home. But whatever those things are that you need to do to check the box physically have to be in play, hopefully on a day-to-day basis, so that we can feel fulfilled in that area. Fourth and final area, last, certainly not least, is spiritual. And this is another area that looks completely different for each person, but it's really doing things, again, that are potentially connected to the core of who we are, that are connected to our beliefs or our faith. And so for some folks, it is religion. It's engaging themselves in religious activities and religious practice. For other people, it could be as simple as how they engage themselves in a nonprofit, in after-hours work, those things that they need to do to fulfill themselves spiritually and feel connected to, again, their core. Sometimes for people, it's a connection to the great mystery of faith. For other people, it's their connection to humanity. And so whatever it is for you, you need to pay attention to this piece and not lose your connection with being fulfilled spiritually. Again, 4 areas of focus, 4 areas that look very different for each and every one of us, 4 areas that need your attention and focus. Now, it's very easy as you're examining what are my needs in each of these 4 areas to overly focus in one area and get completely out of focus in another. And so I've done this several times to myself on a week-to-week basis where I can get overcommitted and overcalibrated in terms of my physical routine and kind of have an all or nothing mindset and tell myself, I'm going to get up in the morning and it's going to be a 2-hour workout or nothing. Well, unfortunately, not only is that not sustainable for me physically, but that leaves little time in the morning for other things that I might need to do to challenge myself mentally, kick off my day with some spiritual connection, whatever it is. And so don't get over calibrated here. Focus on your needs and then figure out what your balance is across these 4 areas in terms of these you-related activities. Great. So we've tackled that second most common root cause for the fatigue, burnout, feeling stuck in a rut that we can often experience, which is getting ourselves focused on you-related activities. In our next episode, we're going to tackle the third and final root cause for the fatigue, burnout, and so on. And it's really owning the relationship with our boss and appreciating the significant degree of impact our boss has, not just on our work, but on our lives as a whole. So hopefully you get a chance to check that one out. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and take care of yourself.